Can I contribute to a Roth? I cannot tell you how excited I am to bring this to you. Can I contribute to a Roth if I made a bunch of Roth conversions? The answer is yes. Yes, I did not know this. My man Ben, he knows who he is. He just sent me this not cheat sheet. My goodness, 61-page IRS publication 590. And you should all read this stuff. I'm telling you, I used to read the IRS publications front to back. I still kind of do. I've kind of gotten out of it a little bit, but now with the new Tax Cut Act, I should do this back again. Anyway, I did not know this. If you had, and we're going to talk about this, but if you have a certain amount of compensation and then you do a bunch of Roth IRA conversions, and that puts you above the compensation level for AGI, that doesn't disclude you or exclude you from being able to convert still or be able to contribute. It's your MAGI, your modified adjusted gross income, of which your Roth conversions are not part of. Who knew? I got the best audience. I love it. I can't tell you how much stuff I've learned from you guys. It's fantastic. So Ben says, hey, I was doing we talked about this. He goes, I'm doing some research. I came up with this, blah, blah, blah. That's awesome. So subscribe. So let's dive right into this, my friend. Subscribe, thumbs up, comments, the whole thing. I tell you, the stuff that you all shared me is flipping awesome. So he says, go to page 39. All right. So we're going to go to page 39. Actually, let me go back to show you the publication. Man, all these IRS publications are actually good. It's a 590A, contributions to individual retirement arrangements, IRAs. I'll never forget when I first started Vanguard. Man, we had this. We're in trading classes in May of 1998. And we had this guy who thought he was all that in a bag of chips, and he was a Napoleon complex, if you know what I'm talking about. And he was leading us. And he asked a guy what IRA stands for when the guy's like individual retirement accounts. He goes, no, it's individual retirement arrangements. You need to know this if you're going to be representing Vanguard on the phones. And everyone's just like, huh? It's like, dude, give me a break. Anyway, but he was right. It is individual retirement arrangements. I just thought how he thought he was so smart. It's just funny how some people in this business really get the semantics of things really bother them. So anyway, it is individual retirement arrangements, not individual retirement accounts. So just make sure. The stuff people get upset about boggles the mind. All right. So we're going to go into this. And of course, the IRS, a lot of this stuff is actually pretty good. This one is not as helpful as what I like. So I had to look at some other websites. All right. Can you contribute to a Roth IRA? Generally, you can contribute to a Roth if you have taxable compensation, defined later, and your modified AGI, defined later, is less than $199,000 if you're married. All right. And if you're single, it's let's see here. If you're single, it's 135. All right. So let's say 200 and 135 for married filing jointly and single. That you can't have more than that as your AGI. Is there a time limit? Your contributions can be made to your Roth regardless of age. Let's see. And I do like this. You may be able to claim a credit for contributions to your Roth IRA if you're making not enough that much income. I tell you that those credits are actually fantastic. I wish I need to do videos on that. I got all these videos to do. All right. Can you contribute to an IRA for your spouse? Yes. Remember our Senator Kay Bailey Hutchinson? It's funny because she ran for Senate in Texas. I'll never forget Gloria Steinem said, we don't need a cheerleader in Senate. I said, I thought you're for women. And when Kay Bailey Hutchinson won, and was that 94, 96, all the feminists were against her, even though she's definitely not a conservative by any stretch of the imagination, but she was Republican and a woman, and all the feminists were on her. We don't need a cheerleader for Senate. And I thought that was okay. So that's not feminism. All right. You can contribute to a Roth IRA for your spouse, providing the contribution satisfy the Kay Bailey Hutchinson spouse IRA limit. Essentially what that means is your spouse, my wife, stays at home to raise the 4 crumb crunchers. I have a job of making compensation. If compensation is defined here, and as long as my job covers both of our, what is it today? $12,000 or something like that. As long as I make enough to cover the full extent of the contributions we put into the Roth, I can contribute for me $6,000. I can contribute to Charlotte for $6,000 as well, even if she has no compensation. And compensation includes wages, salaries, tips, professional fees, blah, blah, blah. So you get into that, but basically W-2 or 1099 income. Modified adjusted gross income. This is the big one. Your modified AGI for Roth IRA purposes is your AGI as shown in your return with some adjustments. Don't subtract conversion income when figuring out your other AGI phase outs and taxable income, such as your deduction for medical and dental expenses. Subtract them from AGI only purposes for figuring out your modified adjusted gross income for Roth IRA purposes. So what does that mean? So, well, it's confusing as all can be, but modified adjusted gross income for Roth IRA purposes, you enter your AGI, and you can just kind of go through this. Enter any income resulting from a conversion of an IRA other than Roth IRA to a Roth. So enter any income. All right, so here we go. You enter your AGI, then subtract out your Roth conversions. It says it right there. Enter any income resulting from a conversion from an IRA or 401k or whatever to a Roth in line 2. That makes sense? Then subtract line 2 from line 1. That's I never knew that. So your Roth conversions do not exclude you from being able to contribute to a Roth IRA directly, as long as your compensation amount, your MAGI, I should say, is below those thresholds. So let's take a look. Here's a website that I looked up. I said, okay, that makes sense, but I want to do some other research to make sure I'm not reading this correctly, because it is confusing, the IRS's stuff. And I'm trying to make this bigger for y'all to see it, but it doesn't want to do that for me. All right, so, okay, there we go. Yeah, all right. One more. All right, so this is from Zacks, finance.zacks.com. There are 2 ways to get money to Roth: making annual contributions, which require you to have compensation and have income that falls below the annual limits. And we're not talking about conversions. We're going to talk about conversion income not included. Taxable income from Roth conversion is not included in your modified adjusted gross income when determining whether or not you're eligible. For example, say you're single and your AGI is $130,000, but $20,000 of that is coming from converting funds from a traditional to a Roth IRA. Your MAGI drops down to 110 because the conversion amount is excluded. Thus, that puts you below the phase-out range for being able to contribute. That's one. I mean, I tell you, I did not know that. And so my man Ben from Texas, right on, my friend. This is fantastic. And I saw this other one too. This is from betterment.com. I always want to check a couple sources because, as Abe Lincoln said, you can't always trust what's on the internet nowadays. So here's Betterment. Your modified adjusted gross income is used to determine how much, if any amount, you're able to contribute to a Roth IRA. The calculation for your modified adjusted gross income begins with your AGI. From there, some modifications must be made. Start with your AGI. Find your adjusted gross income. All right. Subtract Roth conversions. Subtract any Roth conversions you did during the tax year. These are counted in your AGI, but now not counted as your MAGI, so they must be removed. That's just wonderful. I did not know that. I tell you, so as we're going through this, the life, I guess, together, if you will. This sounds kind of weird, but I've gotten to know a lot of people on YouTube, and I enjoyed immensely. A lot of good people out here, and I've been educated. I tell you, I've learned a lot from you guys. If you find something of interest that I'm missing, I'm not going to be able to get to everything, but my goodness, share it with me, because if I don't know, and I'm pretty well tuned to this stuff, and you do know, I need to be made aware so I can let other people be made aware. So this is a perfect example of that. My man, Robert Ford, told him about the EMT, the first responders, being able to get access to their 401ks and TSPs and whatnot after the age of as 50 years old and above, not 55. I've just learned a ton from various people on here. So don't forget to submit stuff to me for sure. Okay. Anyway, as always, if you like what you see here, subscribe down below. I'll put links to all this in the show notes. And man, thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.